Okay, we are live. So, we're all probably looking at Riverside right now. So, you all being Clink and Clank, Cinder, Aries, and Conrad have all accepted. It was a posting by the VFBI for assistance with inspection of the new Ashford Penal Colony that's been established due to the rising incarceration of various monsters, villains, things like that have been plaguing the island, in hopes to finally just keep some of them at bay and start dialing down on the craziness that continues to happen on the island. The newly dubbed agent of the VFBI, Jim Dankmagic, has on his very first mission has been issued to do the inspection, but he doesn't really believe in his skills quite yet. He's a bit nervous about his first mission, so this is why the mission was posted, asking for assistance from adventurers, since he's had so many dealings with adventurers and a lot of his missions for the Ashford Blackguard. So, you all have accepted the mission, and you show up at the VFBI headquarters just outside of Victor's Castle. Sure enough, standing out front is the smooth individual with a fedora on and a soul patch. He seems to be doing some kind of strange jazz music as you all walk up, but he definitely freezes up and stops once he sees everyone and gives a bit of a chivalrous bow as he says, "Oh, my brothers, it's good you all have come. I've been looking forward to this day. Skip-up!" And he lets off a bit of a scat at the end of there, and then he points around at the party and says, "Well, it's a mission that I've asked you all to come help me with. It's a bit straightforward. We're going to go out to this island just off the coast from the harbor. It's a place called Ashford Penal Colony. That's just what they're calling the island, since, you know, what the heck else would we call it?" He said, "It's just a pretty normal mission. We're going to make sure that the warden is assumed his responsibilities, make sure the securities are up to spec, and then double check to make sure the prisoners are being kept incarcerated correctly. Should be pretty straightforward. Get in, get out, get paid." He does finger guns at everyone once he says that last part. He says, "We have to travel out to the harbor and then take a boat out to the island, so you guys can ask me questions en route as we go," as he starts walking off toward the Silver District. So right now you all are heading out of town and getting into a carriage to head out to the harbor. So if you do want to ask Jim Dankmagic any questions, it'll be the en route portion.
Are we expecting trouble during this visit?
Penal Colony.
No trouble. It should be pretty straightforward, if you know what I'm saying. Really, the prisoners that we currently have there, it's a bit of a full house already, even though we just established it, but they're all incarcerated correctly. We have many mages out there that hold up the force cages, keeping them within inside their imprisonment.
See, if I have any thoughts about it, if you weren't expecting trouble, you wouldn't have requested such renowned adventurers.
Jim, you can see the ping of unsureness in Jim when you say that, as he kind of looks at the party for a moment and looks down at his hands as you all are in the back of the carriage and says, "Well, thing is, this is my maiden mission, my very first mission for the VFBI. I don't know, I'm a bit nervous. I thought maybe if I paid you well enough, I could have some of you more legendary adventurers come and assist me with something like this. Just in case, you know, anything does go wrong. I know they're keeping a few high-profile individuals in that prison."
Well, as long as one of them isn't Sven, we should be good.
He said, "No. Sven's still in the castle, in the dungeon under Victor's Castle. He ain't going nowhere. We wouldn't put someone that high profile in something that's so new, I guess."
Well, I mean, I would have broken in then.
Broken into the penal colony or broken into Victor's?
Yeah, broken into the penal colony. I ain't bringing it into Victor's place. Fuck that. Victor ripped my head off, but the penal colony, on the other hand, I could probably take that.
He, Jim finally stops looking at his hands and says, "I'm sorry, I know you all usually have better things to do, especially legendary adventurers such as yourself." He definitely points at Conrad on this one and says, "But I'm just nervous, I suppose, and I just really could use your help."
I mean, it's been quiet for me. I've been having a nice time building up my glass figure collection. Cinder's a glass blower by trade.
Jim kind of smirks and says, "Oh, glass blower, eh? Well, I'm a bit of a musician on the side, if you know what I'm saying, my brother."
Was that what that noise was when we came up?
Oh, it's just a little freestyle scatting, if you know what I'm saying. Sometimes I almost can't even control it. It just comes out on its own. It seems about this point you guys are just approaching the harbor. It's been a bit of a quick journey since the road's so well kept between the harbor and Riverside. And you see the boat. It is definitely a large galleon that is ready to go. You see many blackguards on the galleon. The galleon's actually painted a bit different than most of the trade vessels coming in and out. It seems to be painted complete matte gray. You see on the side of it, APC has been painted onto it. This seems to be one of the transport ships that usually take prisoners out there. Many of the lower deck windows are barred. You all start to board. If you are in the harbor town, that's just on the far western side of the island, so you can buy any last minute items if you'd like to buy them before heading onto the boat.
I'm good.
Same.
Yeah, I've got enough healing potions.
I think basically it's a healing potion.
1 second.
Oh man, I gotta update. Just do 7.
Yeah, I gotta.
Alright, sounds like we're good.
Okay. So you all board onto the ship. Very clean, well-kept ship. You see many of the sailors either mopping the deck, working on the rigging, this and that people usually do on a boat. And you can see the captain seems to be, I would say, late-aged gentleman. He has a white beard. His peg leg is a bit strange. It's the exact shape of a foot for some reason instead of just a regular old peg leg. But he has a foot-shaped peg leg as he waddles around barking orders. And then there is quite a few blackguard on here. You see 2 sergeants, and then you see a handful of regular blackguardmen, a few crossbowmen mixed in. When the ship sets sails, someone go ahead and roll me a D100.
95.
Damn it, Hark, I was behind you.
Okay. Well, crap.
Which is good for you.
And suddenly spin.
Low is good for Chug.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it, Hark. Why'd you roll? You've already been rolling high today.
Clink always rolls high for fucking encounters.
Alright, well, just give me a moment. I didn't expect you guys to roll that quite high, but I did have something a little bit prepared just in case.
Is it a kraken?
No,
Kraken.
a giant kraken.
That's 2 krakens.
Yeah, we could take a Kraken pretty easily.
4 krakens. 1 for each of us.
That's a pretty
See who kills theirs first.
I'll just fly up.
I'll just have it eat me, go inside of it and blow it up.
God, these maps are already terrible. Here we go, that's good. Alright, you can go ahead and put yourselves anywhere on the map. Old Jim Dankmagic
It's
will
an
be here.
extremely large chair.
That is Jesus.
The rest of the scale isn't even that bizarre.
Okay, so it seemed things have been going well for most of the trip out here. You guys are, I would say, about halfway there from the sounds of the captain's orders to the island. Yeah, things seem to be going well, but strangely enough, it went from completely clear sky to bit of a very ominous overcast. Pretty heavy clouds suddenly seem to appear out of nowhere. You didn't see any on the horizon, so it's kind of strange these just popped up out of nowhere. The waves start to lick the side of the boat a little heavily. That's all that seems to be happening right now, though. The captain does seem a bit disconcerted. You can hear him still just barking regular orders for the rigging and things like that. No one else really seemed to be paying much attention to it, but Jim does pipe up eventually and say, "Oh my word, those clouds there, my brothers, they seem a bit ominous. I was just asking me."
Yeah, probably a storm coming.
He looks around at the rest of the horizon, and Jim says, "Well, usually storms are a bit of a larger than just clouds just over our heads. If you look over there," he points at some of the horizon, "you don't see any clouds on the horizon. It seems to be clear sky just probably about 200-300 feet off the boat."
Are any of the prisoners potent spellcasters?
Jim looks over and says, "We only got a couple of prisoners on board to take out there, just a few odd and end pickpockets, those sort."
How far away are we from the island?
Jim looks back over at Conrad and says, "Well, from the sounds of it, we're maybe about halfway there. I'd say maybe about another 2-3 hour trip."
Could maybe they've broken free on the island?
He says, "That's preposterous. There's no way they broke free. There's so many wizards holding up force cages there." The clouds do see. You think you hear distant thunder for a few moments crack, but you don't see any lightning.
Sounds like call lightning.
He
I assume it's bigger than the cloud the cold lightning cloud.
kind of out of the blue, as you all are discussing this, the ship does lurch a bit funny for a moment. The captain, you hear him bark some more orders as they raise one of the middle rigs. Jim turns a bit green. Oh, goodness sake. He heads over to the edge. A few moments pass. The ship kind of lurches the opposite direction a little bit.
Weird.
Doesn't seem very good.
The
Oh.
captain, you can hear, he sounds a bit confused all of a sudden. He pulls out his compass and looks at the map table behind him. Then you hear him come down to the deck. He talks to a few deckhands. Jim is definitely still green at this point, leaning over the bow.
Can I roll an Arcana check to try and figure out if, well, I assume the clouds are magically summoned, but whether it's closer to spellcasting or...
Sure, yeah, you can.
Something like that.
Wow.
Wow, 4 rolls.
The clouds don't seem innately magically summoned to you. They just seem like regular clouds, but I would say with a 17, something seems off, especially with how you can see off in every single direction, about 200-300 feet. The horizon seems completely clear day, and the clouds just are just centered almost on the ship.
Alright. Is there like a crow's nest?
Yes.
I'm gonna climb into the crow's nest and take a look around.
Yeah, Miles, you're not even halfway up where you see it. Seems you can see that same 200-300 feet off. The water does seem blue like it should be, like seawater, but the water that's right around the ship is colored wrong. It's almost this strange deep green, almost black color.
So I'm gonna get a water sample. Color around the ship is a little off.
Sure. Why not? I've got wings boots, so I'll try and make a quick little dive to grab some for my alchemist supplies.
All right, as you fly over the edge of the ship, I would say, well, it is your passive perception.
Passive perception is 16.
16. Yep, I would say you can see something holding the ship. It's hard, for a moment you see something holding the ship. Looks like a large tentacle for a second, then it slides back underneath the ship.
So upon seeing that, I will decide that it's probably the source of the everything. Go back up to the ship and say, yeah, it's probably a kraken. Whatever it is, it's got tentacles. Saw one of them attached to the ship. Should probably deal with that.
How do we deal with that? I'm not good in water.
Huh. Well, that would be a problem.
Where you're at, Miles, you can hear the other black guard sailman that is up in the crow's nest. He kind of glances over and he says, "Strange, the ship doesn't seem like it's moving right now." He looks at the sails. We seem to have the wind with us, though.
It's probably because we're being held by a kraken or something else with tentacles beneath the ship.
Did we feel the lurch when it was stopped?
You felt a couple of lurches.
Yeah, that's probably one of them.
It's a kraken. Burst yourself. And I'm gonna. Actually, I'll stay where I am at. Where I'm at.
I'm just gonna fly.
You want
How
no
fast
water
can I
breather?
Also, I'm gonna cast a spell. I'm gonna cast Freedom of Movement on myself.
Okay.
I went 80 feet up.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, Ares, at this point, you can see the same thing, a weird discoloration in the water.
What color is it?
Green.
Very deep, deep green, almost black.
Okay.
Someone should probably get its attention.
I'm just gonna keep going up and like watching the water. If I see any tentacles, I'm gonna shoot them.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over towards the edge. Get out spells. Yeah, sure. I will cast haste on myself.
Okay.
And then drop down to see if I can find the kraken or whatever it is that's holding it.
Yeah, as you cast haste, let me see here. Yeah, go ahead and roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Constitution saving throw, say 25.
Okay, yeah, you pass. So as you go closer to the water to take your sample, this huge vent of what seems like steam comes breathing up out of the water. You do manage to shield yourself for most of it. You do end up taking some damage from it as something breathes steam, fire damage, breathes steam up out of the water. And with that, you see two large turtles come to the surface. I'm going to move you slightly, Ares, so you're not on top of the turtle.
That's not a kraken.
Everyone go and roll initiative. I'll roll the damage real quick.
Hey, Choke, where on the ship is the crow's nest at? Or, like, the mast?
I would say you see that thing with the fish with a knife in it. The crow's nest is just above that.
Alright, so, like, over here.
You take half of that, Hark.
Sure. Yeah, we'll just take half of that. I'm not going to absorb elements.
Okay.
Let's do that, and I will use my flash of genius to give myself a +7 on my initiative. Now that I know I can do that.
Okay. Hold on. It did not do descending. What the hell's going on here?
Okay, wait.
Why is this not organizing correctly?
Wait, hold on. You're gonna have to redo it anyways.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you're already at
There
the
we go.
top. Okay.
17.
Oh, that's. I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at the AC, not the. There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, each time it changes it, it kicks me out of the menu to change it.
Okay, yeah. With
No,
that, combat has started.
What is this? Why is your new calculator symbol? So, guess very bulky. Yeah, I'm gonna go for shooting at it first.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Those are pretty difficult rolls.
That is a. The last one hits.
Oh, okay. Wow, use the wheels that. It's been a little bit since I've used Clank, but I'm gonna use his Arcane Jolt to heal himself.
Okay.
And then... Shit. Can Clank actually do anything? Fuck it. I can rebuild him anyways. He's gonna just run and jump off the ship onto one of the.
That's right. I will.
Wait. He's gonna try and jump on the dragon turtle. Actually has just enough movement to do that. How far is the drop? Was it enough for full damage?
I would say it's a galleon. It's a pretty good ways up off the water. It's maybe about 20-foot drop down. So just enough to take a D4 worth of fall damage.
Okay. It's not too bad.
Okay.
Go.
So he takes 1 fall damage.
Alright. Go get him, Frank.
Okay, so as he goes to jump down onto the turtle, before you make the attack roll, I just need you to roll a either athletics, acrobatics, save or a check to see if he actually manages to land on the turtle or if he just kind of slides off into the water.
25.
Yeah, he lands on the turtle perfectly.
Well, this is great.
The,
job,
the punch though, on the other hand, he punches into the shell, which doesn't seem to do anything.
Yeah. Good attempt. Thank.
Is there anything else for you, Hark?
Nope. I just gotta check how much it heals for with the Arcane Jolt.
As Jim is finishing one of his dry heaves from being seasick, he looks down and sees one of these monstrous turtles come up out of the water, and you hear him go, "Mother of God!" as he immediately kicks into action. He is going to go ahead. He's going to do a Scorching Ray on the dragon turtle. So that's 1. He does land one of his hits. For 9. Alright, that is it for old Jimbo. It is this one's turn. Let's see if this one recharges. Does not. Alright, the dragon turtle is going to attack Clank, who's on top of it. It'll do a bit of a roll and and do a few attacks on him. So 1, 2, and 3. Oh, he crits 1. Alright, so there's the 2 that hit.
Alright. So 28 and then 27.
Conrad, it is your turn. You can't. Neither of them are submersed right now. They both have come to the surface. You can see both of them from the crow's nest.
Okay. Wait, I'm also halfway up the crow's nest. How high is the crow's nest?
The crow's nest is 40 feet at the very top of the crow's nest from the deck. So if you're halfway up, you're about 20 feet up.
All right. Do you use Pythagoras?
I do, but you'd be able to see that dragon crow. It's massive.
Okay. Well, just being within range for 60 feet.
I think you're just too far if you're halfway up the crow's nest from both of them.
Oh wait, no, it's 90 feet. Okay, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, then you're in range.
Yeah. So hunter's mark on it.
Which one?
The
That one?
this
Okay.
left side.
Get it?
And
Yeah, that definitely hits.
That's a hell of a start.
That also hits.
Oh, actually,
and that's my turn.
Okay.
you might want to go on for the one that did have someone within 5 feet, unless you had another way to get sneak attack.
No, I have advantage.
Oh.
Alright, Ares, it is your turn.
I'll just shoot this one. Under me.
Okay.
First, I'll make bonus action to make my clone. Drag that out real quick. Come on. There. But there it is. And then I'll make my 3 attacks.
Okay.
Do we know if they're super hard to hit?
I think a 20 hit him.
Okay.
So not very hard to hit.
Pretty sad that I missed with most of my attacks with plus 13.
2, 3.
Yep.
It's not bad.
Yep. And the last one's regular.
But no, they're all.
All advantage. Okay.
No,
so,
none of them have advantage. No, but
None of them are at advantage.
Oh, the last one's okay. So the last one misses. The first 2 do hit. Anything else?
that's it. Well, no, I'll move up more.
Okay. Cinder, it is your turn.
I'm gonna walk my happy ass over to here,
Okay.
and I'm gonna finger guns this big guy here.
I would
Shoot
say
next
where
to
you're
the-
at, you wouldn't be able to quite see him over the edge of the deck. You have to be a little bit closer to the edge.
Oh, well then, okay, then I won't do anything.
Okay. All right.
And dash?
Then I can't use any spells. I don't have any
Yeah.
bonus action spells. I don't see a point to dash to get into range to be attacked.
Okay.
Gotta remember, Cinder's squish.
Is this one's turn? This one is going to actually disappear as it submerges underneath the water. Clink, it is your turn.
Alright. Seeing how this doesn't seem to be too terribly hard to hit, just gonna keep shooting at it.
Okay.
Wow, what a sad crit.
All right. That is a hit.
Oh, that's a really sad crit. I will heal Clank for 2d6,
Okay.
and then Clank will just repair 2d8 plus 4, and then that'll be it.
Okay. It is back to Jim's turn. Jim will continue his normal assault. 1, 2, 3.
Jesus.
Jim misses so bad that he does an 18 hit. Okay. He accidentally shoots Clank.
God damn it! I just healed him.
Alright. It is this one's turn. This one will roll a d6. Does not recharge.
All monsters don't just immediately recharge all of their recharge abilities.
This one is going to do the same attacks on Clink. One
On Clink or
Clank.
okay.
Yeah, on top of him. I think all of those do actually hit.
I think that last one's gonna knock him out.
It is back to you, Conrad.
Alright. I'll cast Guardian Nature. The Great Tree.
Okay.
And we'll attack the one that's surfaced.
Okay. Yeah, hit. Also a hit.
And that's my turn.
Alright, it is Ares. It is back to you.
One. So wait, what did I click on? Oh, I did not. Okay. 2.
Okay, those all hit.
That'll be it. Oh, yeah, that'll be it. I don't need to move anywhere.
Alright. Cinder, it is your turn.
Wilder.
I will move to the edge, see the thing is gone, and then go. Conrad, where'd it go?
Under.
Oh, fuck me. Alright, let me think about how I can get under there, and that'll be my turn.
Okay. As it rolls over to the other dragon turtle's turn, it will actually re-emerge here as it shoots steam straight up into the air at the Ares and Ares clone.
Wow, that's a long ass fucking path.
How far is it shooting this steam?
The steam is a 60-foot cone.
I am 160 feet in the air.
You're 160 feet in the air. Okay, and so we'll shoot at it'll shoot at Jim and Clink. Since Jim is poking his head over the edge. So it is a DC 18 Constitution saving throw. You pass. Jim, he's not very Constitution boy. Let's see how he does. Jim fails. Alright, Jim is down. Alright, so Jim's down, and then you would take half of that. Unless you're doing absorbed element, so half a half.
Yeah. I'll absorb elements then.
Okay. Clink, it is your turn again.
Fucking brilliant. That is so much extra damage. Okay, so I only took 14. Let me make sure that I keep pace. Those I don't crit fail. Do I want to try and make sure this one doesn't leave? I think so. Yep. get up close and start smacking it with a longsword.
Okay. Hit, and hit.
Arcane Jolt for the self heal.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
Because Clank is down.
Jim will roll. Oh, Jim has got back up, and he will make his attacks. He rolls a lot better that time as 2 hit. This thing is very bloodied at this point.
Oh, by the way, it took 1 fire damage
1 fire damage, okay.
from the absorb elements. I have a feeling it's not gonna matter, but you never know.
You can go ahead and make an attack of opportunity, Clink, as it does try to dive back under the water.
God damn it, you little shit.
Yeah, that does hit. Oh, if you could see its health, but it does submerge back underneath the water.
Man, it would be great if that 1 damage from absorb elements actually mattered.
It'll use its action to actually move very, very far away. As it seems, you can see the water ripple off into the distance as it seems to run. Conrad, it is your turn.
Alright, gonna shoot the
Yeah.
remaining one.
Okay.
The one that has Undermark, even.
Hit. Hit.
And that's it. Oh wait, on the second one, remove 5 damage.
Okay.
Oh wait. One second. 2. So it
5.
there's only 2 extra damage, so it's total 25.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that'll be it.
All right. It is Ares' turn.
I will shoot the one that is visible.
All right.
Damn it, I hit the wrong one again. 2.
All right. And you're sharpshooting, so it's advantage.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, so the second one misses. First one hits, and third one hits. Anything else?
I'll move that way. So follow me. Still 164 here, so you can see the bar still.
All right. Cinder, it is your turn.
I move 30 feet back, and then my turn.
It's all right. This one, seeing as its other half has started to run, it will also submerge as it disappears into the water. Are any of you going to chase?
How?
Yeah, that's a great question. How?
Can we see where they are? Like,
The water, it's very...
Perception checks, but it would be hard. Cause
I would say you can make a perception check at disadvantage because the water is so deep green, almost black, inky color.
if it's so it's a normal roll for me since it's sight. I would have.
Conrad, you can definitely tell that they went straight down.
that probably went pretty far.
Hey, I think there's a dragon. I think we're directly over a dragon turtle nest. They went straight down.
That makes sense, actually.
Now we should drop the charges.
Mark this place on
Or
your
we
map.
could just
There's
leave
there
them.
be treasure.
Or they could just be protecting their children.
The treasure.
True.
It's not treasure.
Dragon,
Not
but
treasure,
don't they're dragon turtles. Dragons hoard treasure.
Not always. Not dragon turtles.
Yes,
Not
they
from
do.
what
I
I've
think they
seen.
do.
Just
Alright.
in case. Mark it on your map. Let's mark this place.
They are still draconic.
With
They are
that,
dragons,
Not
just underwater ones.
Every dragon hoards treasure, though.
Yeah,
They all hoard different kinds of treasure. Summons the
So
French.
how come every Dragonborn doesn't just have a giant fucking horde?
Because they're not
They're
dragons.
not dragons.
They are dragons.
They're not.
No, they're not. They were born to be slaves to dragons. They were literally designed to serve dragons. And
And this is all
Then-
Clink talking, right? Not Hark. Because this is all Cinder talking.
okay. Well, I mean, there's actually a somewhat decent chance that Clink would know about it, but
He is very smart.
All right, with that,
Making sure.
with that, the ominous clouds seem to dissipate. The water does remain this strange inky color, but sure enough, after a few moments, you can see the water turning back to a blue as the ship has begun to move once again. And with that,
it's kind of cool for me.
the rest of the trip seems to go fine. You all don't run into any more issues as you all arrive here. You all
what
are
do
up
we-
here.
What do we get time-wise?
How long?
Rest or
It would be another 3 hours before you got
A
to
short
the
rest.
short rest.
don't know spells, but okay.
As you all arrive, the ship docks, and Jim is one of the first ones to move off the ship. You can see him nursing a health potion as he got munted pretty hard by those. But yeah, you do see the large penal colony in front of you. It is most certainly a small island that this thing was built into. And almost the entirety of the island has been turned into this colony. Very well done stonework is the large platform out the front. Seems to be a receiving area for prisoners. You see a few of the blackguards move off the ship and head into the facility right off the bat, taking these few pickpockets with them. Jim nods to the few blackguard crossbowmen you can see out front as he turns to the party and he opens his arm and says, "Welcome to the Penal Colony, my brothers. This here has been built for probably about a month now, and we started housing prisoners here this last week. So, like I said before, the mission here is to talk with the warden, get an overview of the facilities, and make sure everything's in tip-top shape. Just a straightforward inspection." He looks at the party and says, "Sorry for the dragon turtles. That wasn't supposed to be a part of the plan, but thank you for your help, my brothers. That's why I brought you all along." He looks over at the blackguards and says a few things. "Yeah, dragon turtle nest, this location coordinates." Blackguard nods and runs off. And he says, "If you just follow me all in, we'll head straight into the facility." As he starts heading out, making his way to the front door of the facility.
I'll follow.
As you all get closer, you can see the front, the entrance to this facility are these very, very large stone and metal clad doors. They swing open in an outward motion as you can hear this large buzzing noise. You can see directly off to your. So if you're looking at the door off to your right, you can see a small control center that pokes out. And you can see a blackguard inside that seems to be hitting a few levers and buttons that opens the doors. And then the doors open and you can see into the main hall of the facility. Jim walks in and there's a black-haired woman with a bright yellow shirt chewing on bubblegum sitting behind the desk. She's like, "Yeah, what can I do for you?" And he's like, "Well, excuse me, my soul sister, we're here to see Warden Briggs, actually. We're the inspectors that were sent over by Victor." And she said, and she sighs heavily, "Just a minute," as she seems to hit a few buttons. And then behind her, the doors, they open. They're wooden doors that lead further in. And you see this, I would say, middle-aged gentleman walk out. At first glance, he is definitely a greasy-looking individual, both physically and metaphorically. He has these large jowls that hang from each corner of his mouth. Seems to be a bit on the heavier side. He breathes heavily as he walks closer to all of you, and he says, you must be Mr. Dankmagic with the VFBI, and who are these people?" He points at everyone else. Jim says, Oh, these are actually my assistant inspectors, a few legendary adventurers from the island that have agreed to come help me out here with my inspection of the facilities, my brother. And what seems to be Warden Briggs says, fine. Well, you are in the lead here. The facility is at your disposal. Jim looks around at the party and says, well, it seems we have free reign of the place to go ahead and start inspecting. What do you think we should look at first?
Probably must be using to contain the prisoners, especially any of magical inclination. Those can be quite difficult to contain.
The Blackguard Warden, Warden Briggs, pipes up and says, well, yes, the control center for the entire facility is what you're getting at. That's just through here. He holds his hand to the left at the doorways as he is the first one to walk through. Jim will follow. And eventually you guys make your way up here. He hangs a right as he goes in the doorway. You can see there's definitely a lot going on here. Very many control panels. You can see a lot of monitors that are up. The two blackguards that seem to be near most of the monitors, one of them you can easily tell is a arcane user. He has robes on as he monitors a lot of things. The warden pipes up and says, yes, this is the control center for the entire facility. You can see up there. He points up here. You can see this is the in and out control network. We have Lieutenant running that one. That's what let you into the facility. Back here we have our guards that run the rest of the main facility from this one control panel. This room very easily can be locked down so no intruders can get in or out. He says, when you first came in, there was the front desk. That was the reception desk. She doesn't have very much control over anything there other than paging myself or anyone else in the facility.
Are the walls lead lined?
He nods and says, well, of course they're lead lined. Why wouldn't they be?
Making sure. Same with the glass. Is it lead glass?
He says, this facility is of the utmost security, I assure you, my good man. Jim looks over at Warden Briggs, then back over at Cinder and says, sorry, my brother, if the warden's a bit touchy, he is very proud of this facility.
Just asking questions.
You can see why. It's very advanced, I say, looking at all of the electronics.
What is a monitor?
The Warden Briggs says, this is a state-of-the-art facility, completely magically sustained and ran by those that have the utmost knowledge. Even Lady Esmeralda had a bit of an input when putting this facility together.
She seems very busy. Like she has to do with quite a lot around everywhere.
He turns around and inspects what seems to be a large control panel. It has you can see a few readings on the control panel as he says, perfect. It seems the prisoners have just finished their lunchtime and they are back inside their cells. If you would like to see that area, we can go there next.
That sounds like a good idea.
So, what? You said it's all magically run. What is
Powering it?
Yeah.
He nods and says, well, actually, your friend here, he points over at Clink, could probably shed some light on this. We use a bit of a combination of magic and construct to run most of the facility, and we have many fail-safes in place for this one. We have fail-safes for the fail-safes. We have this main wizard here. This is Wizard Dole. He runs most of the facility. We also have two more wizards that are fail-safes for him, just in case something bad happens to him, withholding many of the spells to sustain them. And then even further than that, we have more wizards in reserves to replace them in case spells start to be dispelled magic or the sort.
Well, what would happen if someone snuck an anti-magic field onto the island?
He points at the large door out front and he says, the main entrance to the place is warded to ensure nothing of the sort makes it in or out. He kind of leans in a bit to Conrad. Conrad, you can smell the lunch he had on him. He's just a bit of a greasy individual, as he says. Trust me, my good sir Conrad, this facility is completely foolproof.
You realize that what happens usually shortly after.
Someone says that.
You're just fighting
do we
his
hear-
Dexter by saying that.
Do we hear all the alarms go off as something immediately goes wrong?
Yeah, no alarms go.
It's just a routine visit. The alarms go off as soon as we leave.
You can see Jim. He is leaned in a bit close to one of the monitors on the wall as he's like, oh my, there's a lot of cool looking, interesting buttons here on this panel. What if someone, he turns around, someone that's not as well trained starts running the facility? Warden Briggs turns around and says, no, don't touch those buttons, as he points at him and says, this facility only has the most highly trained individuals running it. He kind of narrows his eyes and says, you, sir, are not trained. Don't touch the damn buttons.
Clank looks the Blackguard Sergeant up and down.
He looks around at the party and says, now, are there any more questions about the fidelity of this facility?
Where are the highest chance of escape prisoners held?
He waves his hand and he says, all prisoners are considered of the highest threat. This is a maximum security facility. We keep them all in one centralized location with the most guards possible.
That
So,
sounds like a
wait.
bad idea.
Yeah, shouldn't you keep them isolated from each other?
He says, the anti-magic and force cages that are put around their cells ensure there will be no communication or cross-contamination between prisoners.
And they're isolated even during the lunch break, which just ended.
He nods and says, all prisoners do all activity within their cells. I do not believe in, you see him, it's a bit of mischievous, malicious grin crosses his face. He says, I am not a fan of free time, and since I run the facility, they get very little of it.
Well, what do they do that you don't consider free time? I imagine most of the time is spent sitting in a cell.
He holds a finger up to correct Clink. All of their time, actually.
What about visitors?
He said, I do not know the meaning of visitors. He smiles again.
So you do not allow visitors to visit those incarcerated.
He says, there is only two things that go in and out of a cell. New prisoners go in, and food goes in. Nothing else comes out.
How is the food administered to the inmates?
He says, we ensure that the inmates are completely dulled to all senses before passing food into the cell through the force cage.
Do you gas them?
He points over at the blackguard that's wearing the robes that seems to be the wizard running the facility at the moment, as Dole pipes up and he says, well, actually, we just go ahead and slide food in there through a small opening in the force cage. Before that, though, we ensure to cast darkness and all of the sorts of different spells that dull most of the senses.
So they aren't.
He chuckles a bit and says, in all honesty, if it was any of you in that cage, it would almost seem as food magically appears in the cage. The warden pulls
These cages.
the warden pulls his pants up higher than they already are, which are pretty much to his nipples at this point, and says, "Any other questions?"
Can you demonstrate it for me? Put
He
me in
says-
a cage and show me the feeding?
He says, "Well, of course, I'll see if we have an empty cage." He looks at one of the monitors. "Oh, yes, it seems in Block A we have one empty cage at the end. We can give you a first-hand," he chuckles a bit, "glance at this."
I have
good for me.
I have two questions. Why are you bringing pickpockets to this place? It doesn't seem necessary at all for pickpockets.
You can see that same malicious grin cross his face as he says, "I would never have one of my own guardsmen feed these prisoners. Just in case something bad was to happen, we ensure to lock down the cell beforehand and have these vagabonds and criminals feed the other vagabonds and criminals. if any monster is going to eat anyone, it'll be someone as useless as a pickpocket.
That seems like a bad idea.
Pickpockets
those
are slave
easily bribed.
labor who are then asked to come to a maximum security prison, who could potentially drop something off in the food that could be used as magical components to then break out of said field.
He says,
this correctly?
He says, we don't give these pickpockets long enough to form plans like that. First off, they have no idea they're coming to this island. Second off, after they've administered the feeding to the prisoners that eat regular food, we may utilize these pickpockets and vagabonds as food for some of the more human appetite-driven individuals. Jim pipes up and says, excuse me, my good brother. Are you saying you utilize common thieves and vagabonds as food for some of these prisoners? The warden shoots him a very stern look and says, what else are vagabonds good for, my good sir?
Why don't you just kill those prisoners?
Getting better. You see Cinder's like glass on his robes and him start to get brighter as his hands start to light on fire, as he start to get a little bit angry.
The blackguard sergeant says, you all know Victor and his stance on crime here in the territory. Jail time is one thing, but repeat criminals that have no viable way of rehabilitation only have one way in this world.
Do not deserve to be fed to other creatures.
He can see Cinder gaining momentum as he kind of opens his arms in a bit of a very off-putting friendly gesture as he says, if you have a better way, that is your job here, Mr. Inspector. He kind of leans in a bit, and Jim walks over to defuse the situation. He says, okay, my brother, okay. He kind of stands between the two, and he says, let's just see the rest of the facility, and then maybe I'll put in my 10 cents, along with all my friends here. He kind of waves at everyone else.
I still had my second question. You say the prisoners don't leave their cells at all?
The warden nods. Well, of course not.
Why did you say when they were finished their lunch they were led back into their cells? And how do these pickpockets and vagabonds feed the other ones if they can't leave their own cells?
He says, these vagabonds and pickpockets don't have cells of their own. You can get first-hand witness of what happens to them at the end of their use. And then he says, feeding time being done and them being in their cells in captivity was merely what I meant by that. They never leave their cells, good sir.
Okay.
He
Perhaps
looks
we
at
should
the...
go take a look at one of these cells.
Yep, he looks at the party and Jim says, I agree with Mr. Clink here. We should go take a look at these cells, my brother. The warden nods and heads back off into the main area. As you all are passing back through, you can see some of the office areas here, work areas. Seems to be the dormitories for the guards here at the back of the hallway as you pass by. You guys are free to go ahead and inspect those if you want.
Dormitories?
Yep, this seems to be where the guards that are currently not on duty, down here. This is where they all stay. This seems to be an eating area for them up here and some offices that you all walk through.
I will inspect.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a... do you want to do an investigation check since you're looking at it in depth?
I was just going to do like a quick little once over, not like an in-depth anything.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and give me a perception check then. Yeah, so you walk through, you see it's just a pretty straightforward eating area. Most of the food seems to be dried goods that are then reconstituted for eating by the guards. Just nothing really special about it. But there doesn't seem to be a very large stock here. It seems to be almost a day's worth of food for any of the guards in the facility. And then further back, when you just kind of glance into some of the rooms, just to seem to be a bunk bed style sleeping for guards. You could tell that off duty they can hold at maximum 10 guards off duty in this dormitory area, sleeping and whatnot. You do spot one blackguard. He seems to be asleep in his bottom bunk in one of the rooms. Nothing out of the ordinary though. At just taking a quick glance over everything, just seems pretty straightforward dormitory area.
How often are guards rotated out?
The blackguard sergeant or warden Briggs turns and says, "Yes, so we have very normal minimal shifts here. We have 6-hour rotations to ensure no fatigue sets in. He says the guards are very fond of caffeinated beverages."
I meant to the mainland.
He kind of looks at Conrad for a long moment and says, "The problem with, or maybe should I say the tricky thing, is the training aspect of this facility. Everyone on ground right now is the ones that have been trained. We wait for a new rotation to be fully trained before rotating them out. It takes anywhere from a month to 2 months." He says 60-day tours are pretty minimum here. He looks around at the party. "Are there any other questions of the area?"
Nope.
Jim does kind of look to his left as you all are about to head back here into what seems like the prison area. He says, "Excuse me, my good warden. What's in these rooms over here?" And the warden kind of waves him off and says, "That is simply the storage area for all of our dried goods, things of the sort. The only person that really works in that area is the quartermaster with a few odds and end guards."
It does seem like the one way that things could be smuggled in. Perhaps we should inspect it, just in case.
Okay.
I agree.
So you guys are led into that area. Aries, you seem to have walked into what seems like one of the central life support areas. You see a large steam engine thing working. At a glance, you're not really sure what it is unless you were to do like some kind of check on it.
Life support for what?
That is a good question. If you want to throw up a, I would say, either Arcana or an investigation check, one of the two.
Fuck it.
Yeah, you have no idea what the hell the thing is.
Clank, there's a thing here. Oh, 1 second.
1 second.
Yeah, so
Once I hear him say that, I'll walk in and look at it.
Cinder,
walk around
Clank,
the
Clink, and Conrad, you all walk into what seems like definitely a storage area. There's large boxes and barrels and things of the sort that seem to be storing most of what looks like. You can see a few things. Does seem to be very few boxes that are open with some fresh produce in them, but it's very, very few. The rest of them seem to be dry goods that are stored. Cinder, as you walk in the back and kind of inspect the machine at closer, seems to be something that you can see a broiler in one corner that is the thing that is used for the hot water for the guards. You look at some other things, seems to be some ventilation systems. The constructs are pumping in fresh air and venting it out to the rest of the facility. The only thing that you're not sure what it is this thing here at the back. You don't see any guards or anyone at the back there, but it seems to be very similar to the things that were up here, some of the control panel things. And then you also see another door at the back. You see a couple more doors at the back.
I'm going to investigate this room for if there's any contraband or anything smuggled in here. Something that doesn't seem like it belongs.
Okay.
I'll add my last genius to that because it was a real poor roll. So 22.
Okay. Yeah, you start to sift through some of the boxes. Seems to be a very healthy amount of grain that's used in oatmeal and things of the sort. Find a few more boxes. That's where the fresh produce is. And then most of the kegs seems to be fresh water. That to you is one thing that seems out of place, as this facility doesn't seem to have its own source of fresh water. They have very many barrels of fresh water stored. The other thing with an investigation check of 22, you know that water stored doesn't stay very drinkable for very long, so this much water stored is bound to go bad, gives people infections and bacterial infections, things like that.
Unless they were using it to something else, something that requires large amounts of fresh water. And we know that there's not necessarily things that are strictly humanoid here.
You would note with the investigating check of 22, this is quite a bit of food, but that this also would require a very high demand of a supply chain. Your logistical knowledge kicks in here. It seems they would have to send supply caravans out here regularly to keep this place stocked.
And they only had like about 10 guards that could be stationed here at that time, or at least could be off duty. They were very efficient with
Go ahead and actually, you know what? With that reasoning, yeah, you figure at total there could be about 25 to 30 guards at a time manning the facility, with 10 to 12 guards off duty and the rest on duty, not including the leadership and the receptionist.
That's still pretty low staff for this amount of stock.
Well, it's
Yeah, they
also
still have to
probably-
keep
Also-
prisoners, but he certainly made it sound like the amount of at least fresh water was overkill for at least what we were expecting. So then head in here to figure out what it was that Ares was trying to figure out, what he was shouting about.
All right, with
I
that,
want to look for like any like shipping labels or anything that would
Oh,
like say like the
okay.
dates.
before you do that, we are going to take a quick 5-minute break. So if you need to go to the bathroom, get something to drink, you are good to go. So right now I have 23 on the hour. At 32 on the hour, we'll reconvene.
Okay.
So a 9-minute break. Got it.
I am back.
We're taking a like 9-minute break.
What for?
Don't. So I just needed to go do something, it seems.
Okay. So did you figure out what this thing is for?
Nope.
Well, damn it. What use for
Yeah.
you?
Well, yes,
I walked over.
it's for supplying hot water.
To what?
It's for the guards for like showers and things like that.
It's okay.
So this is just a giant boiler.
That does not
This
sound like
over-
a life support system.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Damn, dude, let me
No.
finish.
No, you cannot finish. You have to get all out quickly.
Okay, well then I'm not gonna tell you the rest.
Okay. Clink, what had happened?
He doesn't know. He wasn't here. He was in a different room
I don't care. He
when
heard.
Cinder
He is
explained
good
it
at
to
hearing.
Ares.
So I assume the Kraken that was holding the ship got scared when he saw how fucked up the other two turtles got.
Yeah.
That was a strange encounter.
All right. Is everyone here?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I'll wait the extra 2 minutes.
Miles, are you here? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said no just in case. It was correct. Hmm.
All right. Is everyone back?
Miles, you there?
Wilder?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright, so,
Miles.
well,
He's dead.
I thought you were being unnecessarily specific with when we get back.
Alright, like,
Welcome back.
All right. Everyone is here.
I think so.
Chad's not here.
Okay, so, Conrad, what were you looking for right before?
He was looking for shipping labels and expiration dates, essentially. Figure out how long it's been here or where it's coming from.
Yeah. So, go
Like
ahead
when
and
it was shipped and stuff like that.
yeah, I would say you can see labels. Go ahead and throw me up a perception check. Yeah, you can see labels. Most of them seem pretty straightforward. Almost half of to over half of the boxes are from Riverside. A few other towns procked here and there. You can see some the northern towns, and then you see like one southern town, Queensdale, seems to be a spot where most of the water comes from. The dates are not written on them. So if you want to try to ascertain how long the food and water has been here, then you can throw up an investigation check. Fairly new, I would say. Within the last week, most of the dry goods and food stuff has showed up. The water, it doesn't taste off, so the water still seems good, but that one you can't figure out how long it's been here.
All right. I'll just move on with the rest of the group.
Okay.
And I wanted to poke around and try and figure out what this life support thing is that Harry's couldn't figure out.
I will. So just to clear up one thing, so it doesn't lead to any confusion. When you guys went to enter the area first, it seemed like only the warden had the key, as he pulled the key from his pocket to specifically unlock the doors to let you all in. So the doors were locked tight before you all entered. Cinder did look at it, and he was able to ascertain it seems to be a broiler that keeps the temperature in the building, and also deals with the hot water for the dormitories. And then seems to be the steam engine seems to be something that's pulling fresh air in from the outside and venting it to the rest of the facility.
Life support for just people in the facility in general, and he just
This thing at the back.
because it was,
This thing at the back's the one thing that doesn't look like any of the other machinery. It seems more similar to the things that were up in the control room.
well, let's ask the warden then.
Jim is, oop, I have the wrong screen pulled up. Jim is still in the food stuff area inspecting some of the items, as the warden walks in. And he points over to the control panel. He says, control panel there, that is actually our very last line of defense, so you could say. That's our auxiliary control in case any systems start to fail.
Well, good to have backups. Can it be used to override the primary controls?
He says there's only two individuals in the facility that can do such. That is myself, and that is the captain of the watch. He pulls a specific key out of his pocket and holds it up. It seems to be a bit of a skeleton-looking key, as he says. There's only two keys that exist, on myself and on the captain of the watch. We can unlock and override most of the commands from the auxiliary control.
Just in case, I'm not like going over at it, but I want to actually really kind of pay attention to the key, just in case something goes wrong and we may need to try and replicate it.
Okay. You walk back there, and as you get back there, you bump into an individual as you open the door, you see a guy sitting on a toilet, and he goes, "Oi!"
Don't you oi me?
Yeah, get out!
Inspection.
The smell of him going to the restroom hits your face. Get out of here!
You're on thin ice. Failing this inspection.
Alright, so that door closes. That seems to be a small restroom.
I also didn't mean that door. I was going in like this room here.
Oh, okay.
Did not care about the tiny room.
Yeah, you go into that room. So you can see many ventilation shafts that run off from this room. This seems to be one of the central hubs for ventilation that cuts off to the rest of the facility.
Yes, air.
Easy enough to walk into, but the shafts look very small to squeeze into. You might have a bit of trouble, but you'd be able to squeeze into them, but move very, very slow as you have to shimmy your way through.
Ares is not going in those vents with those wings.
Okay.
What about this path? Is this another vent?
That's a
Or
vent.
is
That-
this an actual path?
That's
Okay.
that's a vent. It actually looks like one of the main vents that runs to the back of the facility.
Cinder, you're small. Come over here.
I mean, I'm not small, but I'll walk over there.
Can you go in that vent? See where it goes.
No,
Okay.
I'll just leave.
Take a look at whatever the fuck it is. What are you doing?
Check. Clank. Clank, go in this vent. Can Clank tell us what he sees?
No.
Damn it.
Blind.
I'm gonna holler out and go, why don't you just go in the vent if you want everyone to go in the vent so bad?
This my wing is big.
So?
Just send your echo.
That is pointless. As we all know, every time my echo goes somewhere, it gets mysteriously shot.
Eventually,
Exactly, so send it down the vent.
as you guys have been talking, eventually this the guard that was in the restroom, you hear a flushing noise as he walks out. He's like, God, barging on a man using the restroom is ridiculous. And he walks over to the warden, says, "Who are these individuals?" And Inspector sent by Victor. Oh, very, very well, sir. My apologies.
Just abusing his power.
We should request that one's name so we can note it down later in the report.
Jim finally walks in and looks at the party and says, "Well, my brothers, seems to be a pretty straightforward storage area. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary other than what looked like a manhole that runs down into the sewer system." He says, "But it was locked tight. I couldn't get into it." He looks over at the warden and says, "Is that what that manhole was?" "You'd be quite right, sir. That is just an access to the sewer system. There's only one that's in the facility. It's that one."
What does the sewers do then if you can't get into it?
The warden says, "Well, the only reason we have the access there is just in case someone backs up the system." He very obviously eyes the guard in the room who looks down at the ground, and he says, "We are never having chili night ever again."
I knew it was correct to be suspicious of that one.
This guard seems a bit embarrassed now as he kind of accidentally bumps into the captain as he walks by and goes to stand in the corner quietly. The captain's like, "Watch where you're going, man."
Did you wash your hands? I didn't hear any running water.
He pulls out some hand sanitizer and squirts it into his hands.
Oh god. Warden, you should clean yourself. He just bumped into you.
Oh yeah. It's got a couple
It's not proper
cleanliness,
social distancing.
but between that and food that looks like it and water that looks like there's too much of it to use, it might end up expiring. And poor sanitation, definitely could be some concerns of note there. But
The warden holds his hands up and says, "Are there any other questions before we head into the main nexus of the facility?"
Speaking of sewers, what? How do you remove the waste from the prisoner cells, or do they have toilets in their cell?
They have their own toilets. He does raise a finger as he sees where it's going, and he says, Yes. Any prisoners that have the ability to squeeze themselves into aquatic systems or into the plumbing, we don't allow them to have toilets. Usually they don't need to use the restroom, quite surprisingly, so no need to worry about that. Nothing's squeezing into the plumbing here, and if they do squeeze into the plumbing, they're not getting out of the facility. They're just going to be in the shit. He kind of laughs at his own joke.
Why do you keep such a small, back stock of food?
small.
Yeah, it's a day's worth, they said.
He nods and
That's
says,
a day's worth over here. In
They-
their little dorm cooking area.
he nods and says,
This has the rest.
Yes, even the stuff that's in the storage room, you are quite right, sir. That will not last this contingent very long. We do need pretty regular supplies out here. But even that is a failsafe for the failsafe. If someone maybe takes over the facility, they will run out of foodstuff quite quickly without a fresh stock coming in. Furthermore, the supply ships that come out, are our means of communicating with the mainland that the facility is doing fine.
Uh,
How often do you get these?
that's a seems like a pretty large point of failure because if
if
they
someone
were to
starts
take
taking
over-
out your supply chain.
if someone were to take over the facility, say there's some sort of hypothetical riot that managed to take control of the facility, you would have no way to communicate that with a supply ship, which would dock, and then they could use the supply ship to get back to the mainland.
Before the mainland realizes anything's wrong.
That
because,
too, yes.
He nods and says, "Well, I guess I never thought about it in that light." He looks over at Jim and says, "I suppose you should take that down, Inspector." And Jim says, "Yes, as if he had the idea. Yes, I completely agree with Conrad. My brother, this is a bad way of doing things." He writes some things down quickly.
Also,
Shouldn't the wizards also be able to, you know,
Well, I think
cast
this area
sending?
is quite likely
communication
to
is
be,
terrible.
I imagine that this is very substantially warded against any forms of communication to prevent communication to the prisoners.
The warden nods and says, "I suppose you are right, Inspectors. I will have to look further into this process to reimagine it."
Also, what happens if someone starts taking out your supply ships like those two dragon turtles that are just right there?
But, dragon turtles? He looks around at the party and then looks at Jim, and Jim said, "Oh, my bad, my good warden. I forgot to mention that part. We did run into a bit of a dragon turtle problem on the way out here."
I mean, you did mention it to guards when we first landed. Or just probably hadn't mentioned to the warden yet.
Warden kind of nods and cocks his head and says, Yes, dragon turtles is going to be quite an issue. Suppose we'll have to radio back to the next supply ship to Victor and let him know about the problem to eradicate them."
Is this a secret prison?
He nods and looks at the party and says, "As of now, yes. Soon it will be known that this is the ultimate maximum security prison for prisoners that break the law on the mainland."
What? Will people know where it is, or?
He shakes his head and says, "I mean, it'd be a need-to-know basis. I wouldn't see why we'd tell the general public."
Well, it would be very, very easy to figure out if you have these regular shipments.
He kind of
and then someone could
Someone could destroy one of your ships and then replace it with their own ship.
or just simply board the ship and take it over.
Yeah. You can see the warden kind of waves his hands and says, Yes, I understand it. The supply system here needs work. We will look into another way of doing things. You inspectors have done a good job at identifying that problem." Jim nods and says, "Yes, my brothers, I wrote it down here. I'll make sure to tell Victor about it, see if we can come up with a different way to go about things."
you could use the vagabonds as farmhands. Get a farm out here.
The warden
How big
actually...
is this island?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the warden actually shakes his head at this one. He says, I'm sorry, sir, but this island is not big enough to support a farm life and the penal colony. The penal colony currently takes up the entirety of the island."
That's what the roof is for.
"Oh, my, bit of a roof garden. I never thought about that." He nods and says, "Oh, I definitely will take that note and see what Victor... I'm excited to see what Victor has to say about that," as he looks at Jim, who writes it down. He looks around at the machinery and then looks at the party and says, "Are there any other questions about this area before we move into the Nexus?"
I'm satisfied, and then I'll walk out.
I assume that this vent is just to make sure that clean air gets to the rest of the facility.
He nods and says, "Yes, it's one of the main ventilation shaft changes there. Sends it out to the dormitories back here into the area we're currently in, and there's only a single event that heads back into the prisoner area, and that's what," he points over at the guard. "That's what we have this one posted for. He ensures no one touches the auxiliary control except for myself and the captain of the watch, and then also no one goes into the main exchange area without me knowing about it."
Oh, does that vent thing supply the entire compound with air?
He says the exchange is one of the important things that does change air to the rest of the facility, yes.
What if someone poisoned it?
He said, "Then that would be a grievous problem, sir, but that is why we have guards posted 24/7 here."
How big is this prison?
He says, "You'll see soon enough. We are looking at a lot of the facility except for the prison area."
How many guards do you have?
He says, currently on watch we have 30.
Okay.
About how many prisoners do you have?
Current prisoner load is... I
6.
can't remember. 16.
Okay.
Okay, that's not.
He nods and says,
Negative
at minimum...
guard ratio.
He nods and says, at minimum, 2 guard heads to 1 prisoner.
It's pretty wise for a facility such as this. It's meant to hold such a dangerous
Who
audience.
will you be telling us who's in prison here when we go to actually go to prison?
He nods and says, yes, you'll actually be able to talk with some of the prisoners if you'd like.
Okay.
He looks around the party. Any more questions before we head into the Nexus?
I'm good.
He nods and turns and heads back out of the room. Jim also seems to be finishing up the notes of the recommendations everyone's made as he heads back out. You see the black guard sergeant get here, and he stands in front of the door and looks to the receptionist and nods, and you can hear talking to an intercom. Yeah, it seems like Briggs is ready to go into the back. You hear a few clangs as this door here opens. He steps in and he looks around at the party and says, all right, only 4 can go in at a time. Please file in. So one more person. Yep, there you go. The door behind you all closes as he looks to the left. You can all see the blackguard that's on the other side here nods, and you hear the doors on this other side open as you all are let through. Same thing happens for the next party, so I won't go through that. Alright, yep, so I can leave this whole part here. Yep, and you all step out in this area. Directly to your left, this door is open here, so you can all see into that area. It seems to be just a small, like a seating area for guards that are currently on duty in the security area. And then you see another blackguard sergeant back here with a crossbowman. They seem to be working some of the some more what seem to be monitors and command consoles that are here. And they look up, and one of them says, they both stand at attention as they say, "Oh, warden!" And the warden looks and says, "Yes, at ease, boys, at ease. This is we have some guests here, inspectors from the mainland from Victor." Kind of names off everyone. He says, the inspectors want to see the rest of the facility, and especially the prisoners, so we need to let in. Both nod and say, "Oh, right away, sir," and they hit a few buttons on the command console, and then this door here to the right opens. The warden will walk back. As you all go through these doors here, after everyone is through these doors here, they actually close behind you all. You hear them shut, and you guys are now in the main prison area. As you all can see the rest of the prison. You see a couple black guards in the hallway with doors behind them. The the warden starts talking again. He says, as we passed here, the first door on the right here is into cell block A. There is 8 rooms altogether. We can house a total of 8 prisoners at once. And he points down the hallway and he says, and back there is cell block B. We can house another 8 prisoners in the back, a total of 16.
So you said you had 16 prisoners currently?
He says, well, currently we have 15. We have 1 free cell.
Ah, 15.
They can house.
Okay.
Well, let's head into A, as that's where you said you have a free cell open.
He nods and opens this door, and you all can see into this area here. The warden heads on in. The guard that was at the door guarding 2 also comes in with all of you. And as he points at the 2 guards already in here, you see one of them is a wizard. He seems to be holding concentration on something. The other 2 soldiers just kind of stand to the side. You all can see into the prison cells. The one on the right when you first walk in. I know some of you have dealt with Ruxashas before. You can obviously it is one. He's smoking a pipe and sitting on his bed. The rest of the cells seem to also be Rasashas, except they seem to be wearing armor. But they have no weapons on them, visibly at least. And they none of them seem to react to you, except for the first one on the right, who just kind of seems to smirk as you all walk in. And he says, usually cell block A is where we keep some of the more lowbrow individuals, individuals that we could easily take down just in case there was an issue that happened. He says, we actually have a small group of Rasashas that have not left back to their plane that we are keeping here prisoners. He chuckles a bit and he says, if you'd like, you can ask that Rasasha there at the end. He seems to be the leader. Why he's still on our plane. He points at this cell.
Why are the prisoners allowed
Armor.
Armor and pipes.
Yeah.
He kind of shakes his head and he says, well, you all should know, dealing with people that are infernal related, such as these Rakshasas, we took away all of their belongings, and they seem to just get belongings back at will. He says, so we just assume these things aren't going to be harmful if they don't have any weapons on them, and they cannot get out of their cages, so there's really nothing to worry about.
If they can just get armor and personal items at will, then
Why can't they get their weapons?
Why can't they? Yeah, weapons or items which would be used as a means to escape.
He says if they ever do get weapons or items, that is when we make sure to take them down or banish them back to their realm.
Why not just banish them now and save?
He nods and says, we have. They keep coming back. It seems the one there at the end made a deal with a mortal, and they haven't been able to complete the deal, so they keep coming back to our dang plane.
Why do you keep coming back?
Did you ask this of the Rasasha at the end?
Yeah, I feel like this is the warden.
You hear kind of a chuckle as he stands and walks closer to the edge of the force cage, and says, "Seems I've had a bit of a bad dealing with a mortal here on this plane. Made a stupid deal with me. I was going to get his soul out of it. The deal was he wanted to become a better poker player. Problem is we couldn't get him any better at poker. He was terrible. Always lost, never understood the game. I'm still stuck here until he gets better."
Who was it?
He says, I don't know, some gentleman by the name of Bob that lives in Riverside.
I'm gonna look at the Blackguard Sergeant. So, what did they actually do?
He says, "Oh, these Rakshasas here are actually anyone that who did he say? Bob was his name? I don't. Whoever the mortal was that made the deal with the idiot that made the deal with the Rakshasa, they assumed killing the competition was a way of making him better, so they started killing people. That's why they're here now."
Have you arrested this Bob fellow for?
He nods and says, yes, Bob is still back in the dungeon under Victor's castle.
Why don't you just bring them here and let them all like practice poker together? Maybe they'll go away.
The guard captain kind of looks a bit. He gets kind of a forlorn look on his face as he says, "Well, the problem is this Bob guy's really bad at poker. I don't think they're ever gonna get him any better at it. So they'll stay locked up here until something happens, I guess, or Bob dies."
Why don't you just kill Bob?
That would free up 7 cells.
He nods and says, "Well, that's quite the idea, actually."
You are routinely sacrificing pickpockets, and
Why
yet
not sacrifice Bob?
yeah, Bob who summons multiple infernal creatures to this plane in an attempt to cheat at poker.
Oh, that's a really good idea, actually. I think we might have to do that. He barks a few orders. We gotta get this Bob out here. And one of the guards runs off.
Look at the Rakshasa in the cage right next to us. Did you really never suggest that they just kill Bob?
The Rakshasa says, "My stupid contract doesn't allow me to do that."
Ah.
Well, you're welcome. I'll holler from all the way down to the hallway.
You don't even have to bring Bob here. Just walk into the cell and stab him.
The big warden seems very pleased with this. "Oh, great idea."
Saving money.
Yeah.
Don't see no problem murdering other prisoners. Let's do a
Well, we
Bob.
freed this entire cell block for you. Good.
yeah.
Warden looks around and says, "Do you have any other questions about the prisoners here in Sub-Block A? This is the not completely maximum security area. This is for the more lowbrow prisoners, like I said."
So, how do I get in?
He nods. He nods to the wizard at the back of the room, who you can see kind of waves his hands around in his incantation or in his concentration, and the small cage here does open for you to be able to walk in this one. As you walk in, he once again waves his hands as a force cage appears in front of you, Cinder.
Okay. I'll push on the force cage a little bit. I mean, I know it's a force cage.
Yep.
And I'll like feel around the room. Just kind of do a full inspection of the room.
Yep. Go ahead and throw me up an investigation check.
And while he's in there, we're gonna go to the next cell block and let him sit there for a bit to see how.
Okay. Yeah, you don't find anything that seems out of place. You do see the small lavatory that's in here. Seems to double as a sink, so it's very, very basic. And then the bed doesn't seem to be anything underneath the bed. There's not actually even covers. It's just a very shitty straw pillow on a very firm wooden mattress.
I don't know why people seem to have so much trouble with adventures. All you have to do is say, "This cage is impossible to escape from," and they will literally walk into it.
And now we just go.
Well,
check
no,
out
I
this
just more
block.
wanted to see how they do the dinner as well.
Yeah.
So-
Are you able to actually cast magic in the cage?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try.
Cinder.
Yep. What
So
are
I'm
you
gonna
casting?
I'm just gonna create a bonfire right in front of me. So right in this square here.
Yeah, you're easily able to do so.
I hope you don't have any artifices here.
So I can still cast freely in the cage.
Yep.
Doesn't sound very good because I could also. Because then, if this is a force cage, will it not just disintegrate? If I cast disintegrate on it.
Well, you should try it. Press one.
I mean, I'm asking the warden.
The warden says, he smiles and says, "Go ahead and try."
Okay. I'll cast disintegrate.
The second guard that was in the room, you see him flick his wrist as you feel your spell be countered.
Is that your entire defense method?
He looks over and says, okay, sorry. When he looks over at you, Ares, he looks a bit insulted as he says, "Trust me, these wizards that are part of the guard staff here are of the utmost capabilities. They have the ability to discast multiple spells at once."
What if all
What if
8 prisoners cast spells at the same time?
He starts to smile once again and he says, "They can go ahead and try." You see all the other individuals clad in armor. They don't seem to try it.
Did they react?
I mean, if you want to look at all of them, you can go ahead and throw me up a single perception check.
I'm just saying whether they heard them.
I mean, yeah, they're all listening to your conversations. So looking at all of them, one or two of them seem to be very disgruntled, angry to be in these cages. Like I said, the main Rixashi that seems in charge at the back, he just continually passively smokes his pipe and sits on the wooden bed. A few of the other ones don't seem to really care about your conversation. They seem to be doing their own thing in their cages.
So they can all hear us.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm saying this to the sergeant.
The sergeant nods and says, Yes, we make sure to let noise go through these cages. That way, if we have to tell the prisoners to do something, or if they're attempting to do something in their cages, we'll be able to find out earlier beforehand." He pats the side of his head and he says, "You'd be surprised how much sound is an early warning system."
Also a rather well-known means of communication. So you do allow the prisoners to communicate with each other.
He actually waves his finger and says, "It's good you asked." He looks over at one of the Rixashas and says, "You there, beast! Say your name." In Infernal, it does actually say its name. I will say, everyone that's in the hallway, you hear this clearly, but Cinder, you don't hear a thing.
So they can't hear from other cages, but they can hear outside.
He nods and smiles and says, Exactly. You have a very perceptive individual here. He points at the force cages and he says, they're good at letting audio in and out, but through 2 barriers, nothing can pass through.
Well, Cinder, can you see into the cage across the hall?
You cannot send him.
Oh. Okay. So they can't even see each other.
So what happens if someone, per se, does dimension door and then counters your wizard?
He nods and says, yes, we thought about this. I would like to see you try the dimension door out of here while someone else counters it. He says, that's why at any given time there's always 3 guards within a single room.
There was only 2 in here, though.
He points at the guard at the door and he says, the guard at the door was waiting for us. He's usually inside here.
Okay.
So
you have more
Those-
than the 3 wizards you spoke of earlier.
He nods.
So you have 1 lead wizard and 2 apprenticed wizards.
He nods again.
Okay.
Let's
So
just
can
leave
we,
Cinder there. Let's go.
simulate how you feed the prisoners?
He nods and Ares, are you heading out before everyone else? You can do so. It'd be fine.
Oh, I forgot about the feeding part. Cinder's just trying to get free food. Poor bastard.
He nods
I don't
and
want actual food, especially from this place. No offense, but no.
he nods and actually a few extra individuals come into the room, not counting the ones that were already in there. They walk in. One of them is holding what seems like a tray of some oatmeal. They walk up and one of the guards casts a spell while another one casts a different spell. Within the room, Cinder, you don't hear or see anything suddenly. The entire room seems to go pitch black and completely dead silent.
So silence and darkness, I'll say to myself.
And then suddenly the silence and darkness is gone, and you see a small bowl of oatmeal sitting in front of you. Those of you that were outside the room, you saw very quickly as one of the wizards teleported the actual bowl of food into the room.
Can't Fanes see through magical darkness?
Some, yes.
I thought most could. I thought devils would.
He looks over at Ares after he asks that, and he says, "We've actually had a specific problem with the one there at the end. He continues to try to thwart most of our efforts when we go to feed him, so we just don't feed him anymore. He doesn't want to be fed. We won't feed him."
Okay. I'm also. Can you do it again? I want to try something. Do the darkness thing again.
He nods over at his 2 other guards who begin to cast spells again.
I'm gonna use my sing gem. Just is anything actually happening? Is he just sliding it over?
No, he's
Teleported it. We saw them
Oh,
teleported it.
that's right. Is it just regular magical darkness? Can I see through it?
Yeah, you can see through it. Yep, you can see Cinder standing in there.
Okay.
So what if someone does say this, and the second time it's cast, I'm going to cast True Seeing on myself?
What's the components for True Seeing? Is it verbal?
Verbal, oh yeah, it's verbal.
Ah,
Mm,
fool.
well,
Darkness.
casting it in silence.
Dang, can't ritual either. You'd have to know exactly when you're going to get...
There you go.
Wouldn't it just be easier just to make an anti-magic cell?
He
Easier, but it would also mean that they'd require mundane methods of giving them food.
He points at Clink and says, "Exactly." He says, "We would prefer not to drop the force cage if at all possible."
Well, you could probably just have like a little chute and like multiple doors that open and stuff.
He says, "The only security risk we've taken here is the lavatory itself. And like I said, if something has the ability, or to our knowledge has the ability to move through the plumbing, they don't even have a lavatory." He said, he waves his finger and says, "Nothing goes in, nothing comes out."
That you know of, though. What if someone's faking it?
So what if you're holding someone here who can cast the highest tier of magic and say do an extreme amount of damage with just a somatic spell?
He nods and says, "Well, at that point, that prisoner is too high security, and that remains in Victor's keep in the dungeon." He
So this
kind of
is not
smiles.
a maximum security facility.
He says, I don't know if you noticed here, but our low-tier prisoners are a bunch of Rakshasas, sir. This is pretty maximum security. No gods or liches are in here, though. That's a bit out of our league.
Well, or what about a rogue legendary adventurer?
He says, just like that, I would put them on the same tier as some of these individuals with almost planar-style magic. Yes, they remain with Victor.
Most likely executed.
You hear a very malicious chuckle come out of the warden, or executed, yes, of course.
It is unlikely that a rogue adventurer would
Oh, I'm gonna try some.
survive to a. Oh yeah. I think I know. What you're up there.
I'm gonna make my clone appear next to
Okay.
Cinder.
Okay.
Does it just works?
Is it there?
The silence and all that stuff is not currently cast, so yeah, your clone is there easy enough.
Well, no, it doesn't
Okay.
require any.
It
Semantic
doesn't matter.
or anything. It's not even a spell.
Yeah, your
And
clone.
I'm gonna trade places with it.
Oh, so when you do go to do that, I would say you immediately feel this like draining effect on yourself. You're not sure what happened though.
Draining it? What do you mean?
I mean, you go to switch places with your clone and you feel like just physically drained suddenly. I would say you would be able to easily switch places with your clone, but you suddenly feel almost like you've taken a level of exhaustion.
From what?
The warden smiles and says, "Yes, we've dealt with individuals like you before, making echoes of yourself, if I'm correct." He nods and says, "That's a bit of a trade secret. Try to keep that one inside. Seems to be a certain spell that was developed."
What?
He smirks and nods and says,
We didn't
"Exactly."
see anyone cast anything, or
Nope. He smiles and nods and says, "I can't tell inspectors everything that makes this prison work, because what if one of you get apprehended and leak the information from torture?"
Well, then we'd just die.
He says, "Well, exactly, so we can't tell you all of our secrets, but I would like to see you try to switch places again."
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, you switch places again, you do actually have 2 levels of exhaustion now.
Easy.
He nods and says, "You aren't going to be running anywhere very fast with being as tired as you are now, am I right?" He smiles.
I'll still run pretty fast.
He's like, if you can get out, that is. Points at the guards.
Does that only happen when I go between the forces, or is it just everywhere?
It seems that only when you. It seems to have only happened when you switch places through the force gauge.
Okay, so once out, it'd be pretty easy to get out.
He says, "Oh, not an exhausted individual. My guards would have you killed before you made it very far out into the hallway, if you could even make it out in the hallway at that point."
Well, it would only be 1 level exhaustion.
I have a feeling I could easily get out if I could do what he's doing.
Yeah, getting out, you do know I can go further than just there.
He says, "Well, go ahead, my good sir, do it."
Which part? Making it go further?
well, I think part of the issue is that Rebecca would have to be able to get through the different barriers and stuff like that for you to swap places with them outside, since it isn't incorporeal. It's probably going to be rather difficult.
How do the prisoners get in here?
He says, "Oh, we'll drop the force gauge and put him in there."
Do you walk them down the hallway into here?
He says, "With all hands on deck, yes."
So they've seen the other parts of the prison.
He says, "No, they have not." He said, "The same thing that happened with the feeding is the exact same thing that happens when they originally get to said island. They don't know where this island's at. They don't know how to get into the prison, or what he points at the door, or what even the other side of that door looks like, sir."
Okay, so you just said you walked them in though, so you just have a cloud of darkness wandering down the hallways.
Incapacitated, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
He says, "We take the utmost precautions." He looks around at the party. "Any other questions?"
Even then, wait, how far can I make? if I was here, I could make an echo there.
He laughs and says, "Go ahead and try, sir."
Just making the echo?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make the echo over there.
Does
I
it?
have to
Does
get them engaged.
Don't you have to have a site?
No.
Doesn't
You
it?
sure? I think you
I'm
do.
gonna go back.
Because I remember specifically thinking about the class in a like jailbreak scenario.
Wait, there's so many things in this.
Yeah.
Yep, you can see. Okay, so I couldn't make it there. I thought it was just had seen before. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the site requirement makes it hard for it to actually get out through doors or anything
Well,
like
once
that.
you're a prisoner, then you could echo as they're bringing in the new prisoner.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
but
so what?
the echo can also
Especially
be
if
killed.
they're in one of these cages, just create the echo, teleport and
Mhm.
make a run for it.
Yeah, but then they still have to get through all the other doors and stuff like that. Granted,
True.
at that point with only one level of exhaustion.
In the other cell block, it'd actually be much easier. Just make
So
it here.
how-
Go here.
Yeah,
Go straight to
just
the
make
vents.
it here. Yeah, put it in the vents.
You wouldn't even get an exhaustion at that point.
So, how early is the darkness and silence cast upon someone?
You could tell it was probably about a good minute before. Before.
No. When coming in.
Oh, when coming in, he nods and says, "Oh yes, of course. When they first get on the boat."
So when they first get on the boat.
He nods and says, "Yes. Before they even leave the island, they will have no idea where they're at."
Then I'm assuming this was what, a 4-hour boat ride, so we're at least like 40 miles off of shore.
He nods. Yes.
Okay.
He looks around at the party and he says, "You've taken much time dissecting most of this." He says, "The ultimate failsafe here, my good friends, is for individuals such as yourself that are very talented, mind you." He points at Ares. Or even individuals that have spells as good as yours, sir. He points at Cinder. The catch-all here is my 30 guards at any given time will kill whoever tries to escape. He says, "I would like to see something try to kill all of us."
I mean, I'll fight you 1v30.
he smiles and says, "Of course you would. Of course you would, Cinder." He looks around at the party and says, "Are there any other questions or any other things you would like demonstrated?"
No, I'm not particularly worried about these Rakshasas' ability to escape. I'd like to see some of the other prisoners, though, and to assess their capabilities.
He
Okay.
nods. What's up?
I'm curious. Can you get to the prisoners? Can you like punish them from out here when they're in the cell?
He says, "What do you mean punish, sir?"
Could you hurt them from out here?
He says, "Ah, yes, torture.
I
That
don't
is
mean like torture. I mean like if they were fighting you from in their cell, would you be able to fight back? Would you have to drop the force to do that?
He says, like I said before, any spells they try to cast out here is our first indication that we need to do lethal force. We could cast spells into the field, just as you all were doing."
What do you mean?
We were casting spells through the field, it's just that they were getting countered.
Yeah.
He said, "So
I could cast spells out, and they could counter me. So basically, you'd have to.
But anything would have any attack spells would have to go through the force wall, which probably wouldn't pass through.
he nods and
Yeah.
says, "Yes."
So, if I was in the cell and I made Matt go outside and just started attacking your wizards, they would have to drop the force wall to retaliate.
He says, "That is the beauty of having." He points at the one wizard. "That is the beauty of having all of these assistants here. If we do need to drop it, trust me, 30 of us will kill whatever is inside one of these cells." He says, "Any other questions or dissecting?" He smiles, still kind of greasily. He says, "All right." He heads back out. The one guard he actually stays inside this time, since you all seem finished with that cell block. You all head to the next area.
So that's
He points at
That doesn't fit the cage.
It does not.
he points at the party and says, "Now, mind you, this is our extremely high security area. These are some of the most deadly prisoners we currently have here." He says, "Specifically, one of them is a young purple worm we currently have. They are."
Why?
Why?
He nods and says, well, "The things in here are a bit classified. I can't tell you why they're here, just because that backstory might lead to their escape. But," he says, "this is the one place we had to keep them that Victor didn't have for his dungeon, and they are considered low enough to be in the high security area." He says, well, before he lets all you, so you guys are all still out here, before he lets you guys in there, he says, "Now, listen closely. Do not talk to these prisoners, and please, for the love of God, don't mess with the security systems whatsoever. Do you understand me?"
Yeah, I assume don't want us talking about anything about the prison in there either.
He says, "Please." He looks around at the party. "All right, seems everyone has a good understanding. Radio silence." And he looks over at the guard and nods as the door is open. And yeah, sure enough, once you all walk in here, being the legendary adventurers you all are, you recognize a lot of things here. This purple worm seems to be, there's no lavatory in here and there's no bed. It's taking up most of the cell. It does seem to be quite young. It's not an adult one that is massive like it normally is. And it does seem to be inactive currently. And you see a lot of the other things in this room. The warden speaks up and says, "I can at least tell you what these individuals are," and he's like, "I can give backstories on the few at the end there." He says, "That mummy there, that is, in fact, a lord that was risen by a necromancer and started wreaking havoc on the town of Queensdale. Deemed that it'd be fine for him to be here in this maximum security area. Doesn't eat. More often than not, doesn't even move or speak." You see him wrapped up, laying on the wooden bed. He says, "That over there is actually one of the wizard's golems." He points over. You can see the emerald pieces sticking out. As he says, yes, I understand having an emerald golem here is very high risk, especially with the wizard still at large on the island. But rest assured, the only person that comes in here to do anything with that golem is some of the legendary adventurers that study it regularly, such as Lady Esmeralda, who helped us build a lot of the spells that we specifically use for this area." He points over at the purple worm and says, he shakes a bit. "Don't really want to talk about that one. That shouldn't really have that here, but Victor deemed it necessary to keep it here away from the island just in case something bad happened."
But the worm?
He nods. He nods.
Is it
And,
alive?
he nods and says, "That is a good question, sir."
Why are any of these alive?
He points over at the
I
very.
understand for the golem.
You said you're studying it.
He points over at the noble-looking individual, and he says, "This one actually here is a new visitor to the island. Seems to come from somewhere not on this plane, to my understanding. I would say you recognize the clothes, Clank, from being on that mission." He says, "This individual seems to be talking about some strange deal that was made. We don't really understand it, but we're keeping him here, safekeeping and interrogating him when we have the chance." Then he points down at the end of the room. He says, "And those two down there are actually brothers that were risen from the dead by that same necromancer that had dealings with that mummy down there."
Wait, is this the guy, the vampire?
That guy is a vampire.
Was I on that mission?
You were as Toast. I don't remember who you brought though.
I don't think you were Ares on that one.
Yeah, I think
Which
it
mission?
was Gorias. It was the one with totally not Shared Gorath.
I was definitely Ares on that one.
Were you? Okay,
okay.
so yeah, Ares, you would recognize the clothing too.
Wait,
I
no,
know,
because
you should've
wasn't
dropped out
it
that.
Grice that got turned into a chair?
No, it was,
no, yeah, that is
Yeah.
Gorias was trying to do.
and I wish I had been Gorias for that mission because he had passed.
Oh.
Ares did not have passed.
He looks around and he says, "More often than not, most of the things that are in these cages don't eat anything except for that monstrosity." He points at the purple worm, and he says, "So that's the only thing we really have to feed. Everything else is pretty well just inanimately standing there at all times."
I'm gonna look at the vampire and say, "I told you it was a real bad idea to come here."
You hear him stifle a chuckle. That's what you think, mortal.
Why don't you kill him?
I'll kill him right now.
He nods and says, well, we intend to kill him. Everything in this area we intend to kill eventually, and once we get more information out of him.
Well, I can kind of let you know how he is kind of where he came from. He's from another plane of existence somewhat similar to ours that is filled with vampires that have air quotes used up the rest of the population.
He nods and kind of cuts Clink off and says, Yes. I believe Elaine is the name of the adventurer. She's already let the guard know about most information. All we're trying to get out of him is how many intend to come through and the sorts. He looks over at the vampire. He looks over at the vampire. He's like, he's not very talkative, but we'll beat it out of him here soon enough.
Is he the one that gave me the rock?
No, that is not the same one.
Okay.
Told you should have dropped it somewhere else.
I was.
Oh, fucking lame.
I will say at this point, does anyone have a passive perception higher than 20?
No.
Conrad?
Conrad?
You? Miles?
Passive perception of 24.
24.
Okay, higher
There
than
you go.
20.
Conrad, you would hear behind you out in the hallway what sounds like someone yelling.
Hey, someone's yelling out there.
The warden looks up and says, well, that's strange. He says, excuse me for a moment.
Move on. Here's a person break.
Time to move.
Excuse me for a moment as he starts heading out into the hallway.
I'll follow.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, you all can see the guards back here. The warden walks back here and back into the other cell block. It seems one of the Rixashas at the end is making a commotion, and the guards are yelling at him, "Shut up in there!"
I want to stand right in front of the one that's clearly their leader.
Kill Bob yet?
Their leader doesn't seem to be reacting at all. He seems to be still sitting cross-legged on his bed, smoking his pipe. I would say you would be able to. Well, you can go ahead and do a insight check if you want.
Alright.
Is he even in there? Is that an illusion?
And I will flash a genius that for, make it 19?
19? Yeah, you would see a smirk on his face.
Yeah. So it seems like he may have something to do with it.
The guards are still yelling at the end of the hallway. We don't believe what we're just saying. Shut the hell up.
What's it saying?
The warden looks over and he says, this Rixasha has put on a bit of a ploy. He's saying something to the fact of that he's not a Rixasha and he's been put here and I don't know. I'm not really listening. He's just Rixasha nonsense.
What is he saying?
Okay. Aries, you want to go check it out? I'm going to make sure that this isn't a distraction for this when they get out.
Alright,
He's
where's
saying
one?
he's not a Raksha?
Yeah, what is he saying he is?
Yeah, Ares, you come down, you can see the Rixashi's pounding on the force cage. And in what sounds like a Rixasha voice, in Infernal, can you understand Infernal?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, yeah, you don't know what he's saying.
Tell me exactly what he's saying. Whoever understands him.
The what?
Over there. And I'll stand
I
there.
don't. I don't understand Infernal.
I understand Abyssal.
Speak wind at me.
The one guard that's standing closer, that's the one yelling, "Shut the hell up!" He's like, "This Rixasha is saying he's in fact one of the vagabonds that's been changed into a Rixasha." He's like, "But that's impossible. We don't let vagabonds into this cell block."
No, but you normally say the... But don't you let the vagabonds feed them?
He says, "But these Rixashas, we use the teleportation to feed them. It wouldn't make any sense to have a vagabond come into this."
Dispel magic on him.
Just try it. See what happens.
The guard, he seems very, he sighs heavily, says, and you see him flick his wrist as he says the incantation. And then, yeah, sure enough, there is, let me pull him over. The Rixasha is not standing anymore, but instead what looks like a man is standing there now. He's wearing very, very shitty rags.
Man.
Okay, well, it's a man, it's a commoner, is standing there wearing very shitty clothes as he's still pounding on the cage, and now he's talking in common again. You've been tricked! You've been tricked! The Rixashi switched places with me! And the guard's like, what? The warden says, what in the hell? He's like, this is ridiculous, there's no way! The warden turns and starts jogging very quickly back to the front entryway. He's like, there's a red alert, we gotta go! As he starts to run back into the entryway. Once he gets here, you see him reach for his hip to grab where his key was, and then you see him start to freak out all of a sudden. He's like, well, my key! What the? Someone has to... He looks over at Conrad, who's right next to him. My key is gone! The master key's gone!
I'll go back to these cells.
Yeah, down there? Yeah, the cells seem to be... Nothing seems to be happening.
Can Rakshan... Can Rakshasha turn invisible?
Yes.
Conrad, you've dealt with Rakshasas before, haven't you?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you've gone on missions that with the whole Ramsey Chad situation that had the Rakshasas. So, yeah, you would know that they can polymorph, they can turn invisible, they can do a lot of wacky stuff.
Wait, how long has it been? Fuck.
How would they?
The warden is definitely freaking out at this point as he's barking at the two guards that are running most of the control panels. He's like, red alert, sound the alarm! Yeah, you see the guards working quickly, but you don't hear any alarm going off. They look kind of puzzled at each other. Sir, the controls are not responsive.
I'm gonna ask all the wizards in here to dispel magic on every single one of these Rixashas.
They start doing so. The rest of them seem to be... Nothing seems to happen once they dispel magic. Okay, yep, you can run back towards the vent.
Can I get into the airlock?
No, actually, when you go to get into the airlock... I'm going to move you guys back just a little bit. When you go to get into the airlock, the door is not opening.
Send a echo down the vent to the master control panel.
Conrad, there is... You can see there is a like a vent covering. It seems to be locked tight.
Well, as long as I can see through it, it doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah. If you can see through, you
I'll
can
make
send
my
it.
echo in the vent.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna look through it. I'm gonna go through. Oh, also, how long were we like after the food thing? How long after that were we in like cell block 2?
How long? I would say it was probably about 10 minutes.
Okay. And when I had the gem, like the gem of seeing the true sight, I didn't see like anything wrong with that Sasha today.
Nope.
Okay, so like this just happened then.
Wait, no. Did you look at this one?
I would have looked around everything.
Well, first of all, because he was standing like right here.
Yeah, I was standing here and I would have looked around.
Yeah. Like maybe one of the other ones could have gotten away with it, but.
Well, yeah, you would have seen something, but you didn't say you were looking into that cell specifically, so that's the reason I didn't say it.
Okay.
Alright, so now that you're at the other end areas, this door... Oop, I'm on GM layer. This door here is locked.
I'm gonna try and figure out how the airlock door actually works, and like how it would.
Yeah, you would know that the main control system in the main room is one way to work it, or even after you learned about it, the auxiliary control, if it overrid all the controls, you could work this door system.
Yeah, but I'm meaning, is there a way that I can, like, what is it that controls these doors?
Yep. So.
Like, is it magic? Is it?
No, it's a mechanical mechanism that has to do with either these control panels as the primary, or if it was overridden.
I don't understand that's how it's controlled, but obviously there's something that is moving these doors. So to see if I can essentially manually close the doors.
Oh yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you would be able to tell that without the control panels doing it, these doors, there's no way to like break out of these doors.
There's another flaw. You should have a manual override somewhere highly protected.
Alright, I'm gonna go back here. Where are the vagabonds kept?
The warden is like, why are you asking such a thing at this time? Red alert!
Because the Rashaka turned into a vagabond, went back with them to wherever they were going after the feeding.
He says, no, the vagabonds that got here on the island are already dead. We've already fed them to the worm.
Oh, that would be a real awkward escape then.
His plan. He's gonna get digested by the worm.
Yeah.
So then
but,
your keys are in the worm's stomach.
So yeah. Well, no, not necessarily. Because who else has access?
Clearly, he turned invisible and did something. Do you guys
Yeah.
not have truth saying on at all times?
He says the only other person that has access to any of the control systems would be the other key that the guard captain has, who was the individual that you originally met in the control area.
The guy who shit himself.
He shakes his head. No, that was just a guard that was watching that area. He then, you can see him raise an eyebrow and says, "Wait a minute, the guard that bumped into me, actually."
So that guard is likely the Rakshasa. Man, really makes me wish I went for that night ointment that allows me to like Terminator and turn into like liquid. I'm fucking hysterical right now.
The warden, he's a bit worked up, but he seems lost at what to do.
So, and there's no access that you can use here for you to use your key.
He says, I need the key.
Yeah, okay, but if you did have the key, could you use it here?
He says, no, the key's only intended use is for the auxiliary override.
So.
All right. You have a bunch of wizards here.
Wait.
Do you have any on break that we could just dimension doors to the other side?
I mean, I can just.
Are we able to teleport in here? I'm gonna.
I have a question. Do we care if a Rakshasa escapes?
He said,
I
mean, they're
okay,
prisoners.
We care that things are escaping, but like, we're planning on killing Bob anyways. So
We were gonna let them go, weren't we?
Yeah, these particular Rakshasa aren't that big of an
That's
issue,
if they're
but
telling if they're telling the truth.
Yeah, which is also somewhat unlikely. But
Probably, but
there's also the fact that, something managed to escape from this high security prison during an inspection, even when everyone should have been paying extra attention. So there are clearly some flaws, and it would be nice if we could question the Rakshasa. So I'm going to ask again the guards if teleportation is blocked.
The warden says, "Oh no, okay. Where everyone is currently standing, is that where you are standing?"
The only person I am wondering about is Ares, because he's been in the conversation, but way down the hall. So is
Also, Jim Dankmagic is still.
You were asking
Yeah.
questions.
You were asking questions, but all the way down here.
which questions? I don't remember actually anything
About whether
happening
it's about you were asking some questions about the Rakshasa, and I assume that those were questions from Ares.
I meant out of character.
Oh,
The
okay.
Rakshasa thing, if it escapes. So you were about to let them go.
Jim is still there. He was inspecting that area a bit closer.
I'm gonna ask if we're able to teleport then.
The warden nods and says, well, "Yes, of course. You could dimension door through that. I guess you
Not
could."
even mention door. I have a home of teleportation.
He nods and says, "I wouldn't see why not. No one's going to counter that." Cinder, something weird's going on in here. The guard that is holding concentration on the force cage, he seems suddenly alarmed about something.
What are you seeing?
The
Look at him.
the wizard guard's like, someone's activating a failsafe in the room. I'm having trouble holding concentration on these force cages.
Okay. Well, I'll stand right here and go let him down.
He nods and says, "I don't think that's such a good idea, but all right."
Well, you should get out of the room. I guess I'm not there. I'm not there.
That poor
Poor
vagabond.
wizard.
All right.
Oh, yeah, the vagabond's fucked, but the wizards and the guards are even more fucked. Because I have a feeling Cinder's just gonna make his own cube of force there, and
Yep, I'm going to stand right here in the middle in cube of force.
This whole time I've been trying to. Can I get through this door in the vent? Is there any way to open it?
Basically, I'm going to tell them to go into here and make themselves their own cube of their own little force field and stay safe in there.
So when he drops concentration and they go to do so, Cinder, you suddenly feel an anti-magic field kick in for a moment, enough to dispel all the magic in the room. So can you recast your cube of force?
Well, I haven't done it yet.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you feel the effects kick in, Cinder, as it seems like a failsafe was activated. The wizards don't have time to activate theirs, as the fields do drop, and whoever is a part of this, I would think at this point it's just Cinder, or is Ares a part of this now too?
Well, could Ares get? Was there any way to get through that door up there?
No.
Okay, then Ares would have stopped trying and they would have come back over here.
Okay.
Maybe.
So at this point,
And you
Ares
probably
would
would
be
have heard
relevant in
Cinder say,
combat,
drop
but-
the force walls.
I think Ares would probably be relevant, but Clink Clank, Conrad, Jim Dankmagic, assuming he still is in the second cell block.
He
I
is,
don't know what
yep.
he's doing.
So with that, multiple things happen at once. It seems a failsafe kicks in and forces him to drop his concentration on the force cages, which all do drop. And the door behind you, Cinder, slams closed. And also the door next to the warden up there up top slams closed, and the door in the cell block B slams closed. And with that, Cinder, go ahead and roll initiative. Ares, you can roll initiative too if you want to try to get into the room.
Okay.
Because we might end up doing things that are relevant, should we roll initiative, but just not be actually part of combat?
Yes.
Because if I'm teleporting and stuff like that, I would likely be trying to get the rest of the group, because that is the conversation I was having at the time. I was done my token, piece of shit.
All right. Has everyone rolled initiative?
Yeah. 1 second. I need to lower mine back down to 18. Wait, where did it go? There it is. 18, 20, 14. Yep.
All right, and descending. All right. With
And
that,
I'm assuming now the anti-magic field is gone.
yes.
Okay.
With that, this blackguard, seeing this, is gonna right off the bat kick into action and run over, and he's gonna start his attacks. Both hit that Rixasha. That Rixasha is dead.
They're so squishy.
This one here will also run over and make his attacks. I'm gonna guess from the damage that, yeah, that one's dead too. This wizard here, he is going to step out in the hallway and recast the cages. And with that, combat ends.
I helped.
He looks, as he's holding concentration, he looks over at Cinder and he says, "We need to get this under control, the auxiliary control, I believe."
Well, that loud thunder.
So these doors, like pretty much all the doors, have locked shut.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. How many people can I bring with teleport?
Do I roughly know
Up to
how
8.
far away the control room is?
You all have been there, so you all can tell, yeah, the distance roughly.
Okay. I'm gonna look to the wizard and say, "Don't counter me."
Okay.
It's a dimension door.
Yeah, and
And
it,
just like walk through.
Surprise! Cinder was secretly a Rakshasa. He's just gonna leave now.
as a just
Cinder.
surprise, motherfucker.
I'm gonna move you just so you're not on top of something, because I have it sitting there.
I'm going to volunteer to bring everyone who's currently in this room to the auxiliary report. This one.
Go ahead and roll initiative, just Cinder. Immediately when you get there, you don't see that guard standing anymore. You see a Rixasha standing there. This seems to be the culprit. He spins around quickly and draws his sword as combat starts. I will say after one iteration, until Cinder notifies someone else to assist or something like that as a bonus action, no one else knows this is going on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I
they'll hear
was
it.
trying
Don't
to-
worry.
This where
I
me
was
and
trying to
Clink were,
teleport.
this where Clink was trying to teleport to.
So if you guys are going to teleport, I would say two initiative orders, and you guys would be able to teleport at that point.
I mean, we were trying to do
because
this. We were trying to do this one the initial.
Yeah, so they would
failsafe.
they'd be
but-
teleporting when I teleport in there.
But I will say that I was talking with like the Blackguard on, how many of them essentially, on whether all of them want to be teleported in there, because I can bring everyone and then gathering everyone who wants to go up.
Okay, so 2 initiative orders.
Conrad just
Let's
Miles
move.
just wants to get in there and shoot something.
Yeah, I know. All right.
I've been
With
trying to get Clink to teleport us to the auxiliary room.
Yeah, I know. I haven't trying to, but it's also we don't know that there is as much of a rush as there is.
with that, I need to pull up one more sheet. Okay, with that, this Rixasha is going to turn around and step up to Cinder. And he will make his attacks.
He only misses on a nat 1.
Actually, he's going to cast... No, he's not going to cast, but he's going to make attacks.
Yeah, no, let him cast a spell.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, he only misses on a nat 1.
Okay.
No, he misses on a nat 1 or 2.
So there is the damage.
You're making me do math. God damn it. Make it all
Okay.
10s and make it easy.
24 altogether.
Math, just click on your token and then just minus 11, then minus 6, minus 7. Just does it.
Hey, what's up,
If
lad?
you click on it and then click on the number for your health, so
Uh-huh.
if you just 120, and then in that slot you write minus and then the number for the damage you took, it actually just subtracts it.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's real nice. I don't remember who it is that told me about it, but it's great. I think it may have been Juju.
That's awesome.
Someone
Yeah.
told me about it and made DMing a lot easier.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm sorry, I have to do this to you. And, disadvantage.
Ooh.
All or nothing, baby.
He has disadvantage on this.
And that's a level 7, isn't it?
6.
Oh, what's your alignment?
Neutral.
Okay, it seems to not have an effect.
What?
Yeah, it's a Rixasha. They can just choose not to be affected by 6th level or lower,
Those little assholes.
unless you were
Isn't it as long
unless you were a good alignment. If he's a good alignment, then he wouldn't have a choice. But since you're neutral or evil, he has a choice.
Forgot about that.
My chest is 0.
Oh, no. He's gonna neutralize all of my spells.
Well, you can do this instead. Let's see.
What do you? Well, yeah, I guess you're a sorcerer, so you can click on.
Yeah, I can quicken anything.
Just do it again, but higher.
Exactly, that's what I was just thinking of doing. So that I
You know
can't
what?
impose
Fuck you.
disadvantage.
9th level disintegrate. Goodbye.
I was thinking of doing something else. I'm going to quicken. How many sorcery points? Is it only 2? Yeah. Okay, so. And then 2. I'm just gonna quicken a. So this will definitely alert everyone because I'm pretty sure you can hear. Oh, well, it's range 90 feet. So I'm
That's
pretty
fine,
sure
I'm
you might be
sure.
able to hear this. Psychic Scream.
Oh,
All right.
Break his little brain.
So, is that single target or is that an AoE?
It's up to 10 targets I can see.
Oh, okay.
That he does fail, and
Okay,
that nope, that just kills him.
he's dead.
Yep.
Yeah, but he would also be stunned.
He's stunned when he respawns in the next world.
As he is banished back to his plane, you do see behind him. You see the key that's in the slot on the auxiliary control.
I will. So I assume I have one more initiative order. I will turn the key to off of the
Yep.
auxiliary control.
Yep.
And then take the key out.
You
Then
can
I'll
see
just
through
kinda-
the small window in front of you. The doors do the interior doors here do open up.
Okay. And then I'll just stand there and wait. Because I assume everyone will be rushing in here in a second.
Yeah, the warden is one of the first ones. Rushes over and waves at you, Cinder, to open the door.
And I just point down and go, oh.
He geez, how do you mime the color green? he points at
Pointing at
Conrad.
Conrad?
Yeah, he points at Conrad's cloak.
Okay, and then I
He's-
push the button, and
Yep.
then I'm assuming the door is open.
Yep, green button activates, airlock goes off. You only see one other button that's red, which probably indicates which door that opens.
Are the doors color coded?
The door buttons are.
Well, okay.
Well,
The doors are not, though.
there's two buttons. There's a green one and a red one. The green one opens one door.
So
I don't know if it's the other, but I don't know which one opens which. And then he pointed to Conrad, and I said, okay, green. And
There's only 2 buttons on the auxiliary control panel.
Yep, that's for opening the
door.
airlock doors. Yep.
Well, okay.
Those are probably, like, considering that it's right fucking there, it's probably something that's pretty obviously positioned.
The warden meets you at the door, Cinder, and says, "Oh my goodness! Thank God you did that, sir. You have my key."
then I'll hand him his keys.
Yep.
You should have lied.
He takes it and fastens it back to his belt, and he says, "Oh my goodness! I think
When
we just
when I hand it to him, I burn his hand a little bit and go, for being an idiot.
oh mother of God! Oh jeez." He looks at the party and says, "Oh," and sighs. "That just avoided quite a catastrophe there." He looks at Cinder and says, "What was it? What happened? Was that the Rakshasa we were looking for?"
Yes,
He
it
says,
was, but it was looking more like the leader.
He looks over at Jim and says, "I hope you won't really take this report full-heartedly back to Victor. This is just a once-in-a-lifetime event. I can't believe something like this." And Jim says, my brother, listen, I gotta cut you off right there. I can see this facility isn't up to specs, if you know what I'm putting down." He looks at the party and says, "Looks like we uncovered quite a loophole in the security here."
Did we?
He says, "Yes, Rakshasas and polymorphin. It seems that polymorphin and illusions is a big hole in the old spectrum." He looks over at Ares and he says, "I think you should take a note out of Ares' books there and have some kind of truth saying up at all times."
That and just magic in general just should not be allowed. Yeah.
He says, I wholeheartedly agree, my brother."
I pointed out several problems with magic, and you just said counterspell to every one of them, and clearly that does not work.
The warden says,
You missed a few.
the warden looks a bit disheartened as he says, I think you're right, sir. I think you're right. Seems we need to reevaluate the whole magical scheme of this."
Yeah, anti-magic, and then just having to deal with the inconvenient, mundane.
Yeah, like shoots. You need to shoots.
The warden nods and says, "I think you are right. This inspection report is going to be very damning for the facility, but we have some things to clean up here now. If you'll excuse me, I need to make sure the facility is back under lockdown." He points over.
Try and at least make sure that vampire doesn't escape. There's gonna be plenty more where he gets.
Why do you feed the Rakshasas?
He looks at Ares a bit puzzled. Don't Rakshasas eat?
No.
No, there was. You remember that one that you don't feed anymore, and he doesn't seem to have a problem with it.
Oh, that's a very good point, sir.
You had an example of one that doesn't eat, and still we're feeding the others.
Jim crosses his arm and says, "It seems like we have problems when the Blackguard get involved."
See, it seems like the only thing you're feeding here is the purple worm, and that's what part of what caused the problem.
The warden is he seems to be getting a bit disgruntled at all the criticism. Well, I say, this is quite the roasting.
That's the point of an inspection?
Yeah, we came to inspect this place, and there was an active attempt at escaping that was nearly successful.
And the key part of the plan was bumping into you.
He says, you see him struggling to push out his words.
Have a
Completely
stroke.
flushed.
He's gonna have a stroke.
As Jim raises his hand, he says, "Well, my good warden, my soul brother, I believe that is all I needed for my report. Thank you very much, but you have a good day, sir." He kind of says this a bit piercingly as he looks over at the party and he says, "I believe my report is done, my soul brothers. We should be on our way and let the warden close this facility down temporarily." He shoots him some eyes as the warden says, "Preposterous, I can't close the facility." And Jim cuts in, No, sir, the facility needs to be closed down. You obviously are not qualified to run such a maximum security facility." The warden says, "Very well then, harump," as he storms off to the control center and disappears.
First, kill everything in those cells.
Jim looks at the party and says, "I believe we've uncovered quite the loop in what Victor believed to be a great idea for a penal colony. We need to report this back immediately and make sure this colony gets shut down temporarily until they fix the problem." He starts heading out the main door as he looks back at the party and he says, "Let's be on our way, my soul brothers."
We should probably do a full inspection of the ship, you know.
Yeah.
Did we ever even see the vagabonds?
No, other than them getting off the ship and being led in the facility originally, you haven't seen them since.
Okay. Only like, did we? I didn't even know we saw that.
Oh yeah, no, he mentioned that
I
at
did
the
not
start.
hear that part.
You might have been gone.
All right, with that, you all head back out to the loading dock area, and if you want to throw an inspection up on the ship, you're more than welcome to do so at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that.
We're probably going to spend most of our time there, inspecting it. And
Yeah, the ship looks like the the ship looks like it's looks like the sailors are all still upkeeping it and they have it ready to go. You don't see anything out of place other than just a bit of damage to the ship from the dragon turtles, but that also seems to be almost completely repaired from the sailors that are upkeeping the ship. But yeah, nothing seems out of place.
Pretty confident that with my 36. No wait. Yeah, I think it's 36. Investigation that there are no rakshasas on this boat.
Yeah.
You use True Sight?
I don't
I'm
have
assuming
True
you
Sight.
did.
I'll make the rounds with True Sight.
All right, yeah, you go from the top of the ship to the bottom. They all seem to be regular sailors and blackguards still running the ship.
No invisible things.
No invisible shenanigans or polymorph or illusions or nothing.
Alright. Well,
Okay.
seems like ship's good. Anyone who doesn't feel like taking the boat can will come with me, and then they'll just helm teleportation to bring, because I can actually bring the whole party
I'll go with
back to Jim Dankmagic's office, or wherever it is that he recruited us from.
All right, yep. With that, the trip back is uneventful. You all make it back. Those of you who took the ship make it back to the harbor fine and take the carriage back into Riverside. Those of you that did other means of travel, yep, you head straight back to the VFBI headquarters right outside of Victor's Castle, where Jim very graciously and thankfully disperses the payment and thanks everyone. Lets off a bit of a scat of his own, freestyles for a moment before heading in to the VFBI. And with that, the mission concludes. Good job, everyone. You successfully shut down an escaped attempt of all the prisoners before they could even escape.